So I guess I was kind of raised to throw objects. I grew up on a farm in Nebraska, super small town, dairy farm. I'm the ideal country girl, all of that kind of stuff.
Throwing objects at things.
It's just a calling.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Look Around podcast. My name is John. I'm here with my co-host Ryan and our lovely Axe and Ale owner, Chelsea Huston.
Yep.
Man,
Houston.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
It's awesome. This is kind of new for us because you're the first person we're interviewing where we've never met you in real life at all.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited. I've been here with my wife before and we loved it. And so how about, can you start, you want to tell us just a little about yourself, like where are you from? How'd you get into this? How did you start a business throwing axes at targets?
So I guess I was kind of raised to throw objects. I grew up on a farm in Nebraska, super small town, dairy farm. I'm the ideal country girl, all of that kind of stuff.
Throwing objects at things.
It's just a calling.
Yeah. So I've lived here for about 8 years now. I am a transplant to Topeka, and I moved here back in 2015 for an internship. My goal was to be here for 3 months and get out. I had no interest in staying in Kansas, let alone Topeka. I mean, I'm from the middle of nowhere, 400 people, like it's just tiny town. And I got hired on at my internship, and then 3 months turned into a year, and then a year turned into 2 years, and now I'm encroaching on 8.
Wow.
So
It's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, so we've talked about this a lot, how would you say, scale of 1 to 10, your feelings about the city of Topeka, 1 being very negative, 10 being positive, where would you say roughly?
Gosh, I love it. I really do. I would definitely be on, the 10 scale.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I really, I hated it when I first moved here.
Sure.
I really did. It was just a huge transition and change from growing up in a small town where everyone knows everyone. But
Right.
the more I got to, know people and get around Topeka, the more I was like, whoa, I know you. And it really is just a big small town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've heard people use that phrase a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like a city, but it has a small town feel in many ways. That's great. So the thing I was thinking about was, we've talked about this a lot, is that we're both transplants as well. Neither of us were born and raised here, and this isn't always true. Like with some other people that we've talked to, they grew up here and they love it. But for the most part, a lot of the people that we've met who really don't like Topeka are people who grew up here.
yeah.
But the people who love Topeka are people who moved here later in life for work or whatever, school,
Yeah.
and love it. So it's interesting. So I guess you kind of answered the question, but how did you transition, like, from the, like, man, I'm not so sure about this, to, like, 8 years in, I love this place?
So I am a huge people person. I love meeting new people, networking, things like that. And in my in one of my previous jobs, they made me network, and so it was. It was part of my job requirement, and so I started going just as a job requirement. And then the more I did it, the more I was like, I really like this. And then, I met different people, and through that, met some of my best friends through the networking opportunities that I had. And I think a big thing that people don't, Topeka natives don't do, is they're not seeing the good things that are happening now.
So true, yeah.
Yeah, I think back to when I first moved here, Kansas Avenue was so boring and plain. There was nothing on it. And within the first, 2 years, they started building. And then, we, Axe and Ale is here. And there are more businesses opening up, and we just want to continue helping downtown thrive, because the more that downtown grows, the more Topeka's going to grow. And it just, I like to view downtown as a small community in and of itself, because we all get together and we talk and we're like, oh, hey, have you seen this new business? Doesn't have to be downtown, but it's just a way to get to know different business owners and just different people within Topeka.
Yeah, so people who have been here forever, it's kind of this image frozen in time in their mind.
Yeah,
kind of reminds me of like when I graduated high school, my youngest sister was only 9, and now she's 22, but she's still 9 in my mind when I think about her, because that's like the last time I lived with her.
Yeah,
she's frozen in time.
Yeah.
It's like it's what people think about Topeka still.
Well, that's how like my neighbor in the neighborhood we just recently moved out of, but lived there for a while. My neighbor, like he grew up here and he does not like Topeka, and he was like very aggressive about it, you know, and he's like, well, you wouldn't like it too because, you know, when I was 6 years old at the park that was right across the street from our house, this really terrible thing happened. And I'm like, I take my 2-year-old there all the time. Like, it's not like that anymore.
Things
like,
happen
when's
in
the last time?
all over the world.
When's the last time you went to the park, man? Open your eyes. Like, it's not the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you look at any town, no matter how big or how small, there are always going to be worse neighborhoods than others. And there's always, you know, and no matter how big it is, there's always going to be that idea of, oh, don't go past this street after dark or whatever, no matter where you're at. So
don't go past the train tracks.
So you kind of mentioned being raised throwing things, which is great. So how did I want to hear more about that sentence. Like, what did you throw on the dairy farm? What were you throwing out there?
Unpack throwing things for us.
I mean, just anything. I grew up with an older and younger brother, so I was the middle child, only girl. And so
you had to stick up for yourself.
Oh yeah, for sure. And living out, I mean, we lived, 15 miles outside of town, and so we weren't doing the different, like hanging out with friends, walking to a friend's house, because we didn't have anyone that lived close to us. And so my brothers and I, we just came up with different games or different activities to do for fun, and throwing screwdrivers was a big one. Throwing it to see who could stick it with the point in the ground.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, you just never know, or seeing how far you can throw. We live next to a creek. Do you call it crick or creek?
I'm a crick guy.
I'm definitely a creek person. Yeah.
See, we live next to the Silver Creek, but we go down to the crick.
But Silver Creek is the title of a place.
Context.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
But and just like throwing things into the water, who can throw it farthest, stuff like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so you were telling us a little bit before we turned the camera on, but you went to Wayne State.
I did,
in Nebraska.
Yep.
Grew up in the country in Nebraska. Came down for an internship.
Yep.
Stuck around. Tell us how you came from, you got here, weren't sure about it, but then settled in, started to like Topeka, and then you're now the owner of Axonale. How did that happen?
Yeah, so Axonale opened in July of 2020. So
good time to start a new business.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
All of the renovations. So this used to be Hilmer's Leather, so I only saw a part of it before it was built as it is now, and it's a big change, and so there were quite a bit of renovation that had to happen in order for us to open, and so that started before COVID. So it was a great plan. It was a great idea, and then COVID happened, and it just was like, do we still open it? Do we not? And decided, why not? And so opened July of 2020. I came in part-time, and just as a part-time additional job to my full-time job, and really enjoyed it. It just is super fun, getting to meet different people and throwing sharp things every day. And they asked me about a year later if I wanted to take over full-time as the GM. And I was like, sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then a year after that, the two managing owners were wanting out, and so they asked a friend of mine and I if we wanted to buy in, and we said, sure, why not?
That's awesome.
Wow.
So
That's
awesome. It definitely is something that I absolutely love. And that's just, I think it shows when I go from part-time to full-time to owner.
Wow.
So
pretty
That's
quickly
wild.
too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So with the period, so COVID happened February,
March-ish,
March-ish
yeah.
of 2020.
Yeah.
Were you guys still in the middle of renovations, like through when you opened?
Yeah, so we finished renovations. We had planned on opening, I think it was middle of July, and then there were just a couple things that ended up, pushing it back. But then, opened July, I think 30th was our first day or something, right at the end of July.
I mean, in some ways, it's like slightly convenient because it's like you can't go anywhere. Fine, we just stay in this building and
Exactly,
renovate the
yeah.
whole time.
Yep.
Yeah, it was weird though, because we opened and then they put the mask mandate in, and then they put the, places couldn't be open past a certain time.
Oh yeah, because it was really up and down for a while.
It really was. And so I like to say, we opened in the middle of a pandemic and we survived that. We can survive anything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So how did you first get connected? Were you still working at the stamp place?
So I was the events manager at Hummer Sports Park.
You were the events manager.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
How did you first get connected here?
So a friend of mine, Ashley Spring, she's actually now my co-owner with me. Her dad is one of the silent partners. And so we had just been chatting one day, and I was an events manager with no events because of COVID.
Yeah.
And so we were talking, and I was just like, I'm so bored. I need something to do. And she's like, oh, perfect, because I told my dad you should work at the bar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
that is awesome.
And so I came in, and instantly just fell in love with the owners and the people and just the place in general.
Yeah,
It's really great.
So yeah.
That's amazing. That is cool.
It's such a great spot too. I mean, you got Evergy Plaza right around the corner. I think you can walk through from Evergy to get here.
Yeah.
It's
Our
really
back door opens right up through to their parking or their alley, basically.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Who painted the giant? So on the other side of the wall.
Yeah.
Like, was that one of the employees? Was that you?
No. So we hired somebody to do that.
Okay.
But we wanted something. People still didn't know that we were here. Because unless you walked past the front of the building, you didn't know what we were.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, why not? There's a giant wall.
That's awesome.
So we're actually toying with the idea of doing some form of like mural with
cool.
the wall.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
it may just continue to grow.
Yeah. Well, man, that would be awesome. But yeah, my wife and I came one time on a little date night. I think we were like fighting and needed to just get some aggression out, you know? And so we're like, like, see that target? That's you. Like, no, I'm just kidding. We were having a great time and loved it. And I'll be honest, it was a little bit harder than I expected.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have like some skill involved. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You got to figure out, there's a certain way to release it and how hard to throw it and things like that. And but one of the things that I've said from the beginning is that no one leaves here without at least sticking it once.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we had an 80-year-old's birthday party here.
Wow.
And that was an experience, let me tell you. But it was a blast.
That's awesome.
They only made it about 30 minutes before they were tired.
Yeah. I broke a hip.
But it was so much fun.
Man. So at what point will you begin marketing it to local business as an alternative form of therapy?
We actually do.
Do you really?
Yeah. We
no way.
We call it staff bonding.
That's awesome.
I've had a couple of groups in here, which we don't normally approve of, like throwing up pictures, just because of the things that happen. But I've had a couple of bosses give me their own pictures and say, "Here, let the employees throw up things."
Way.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really fun because then afterwards they're like, "Look, I cut your face in half," and things like that.
That's so funny.
It's really fun to see different businesses come in here, and you've got they kind of section off. You have the IT people over here, and then you've got the marketing people here, and then the phone people or whatever it may be, and they all
have pictures of other departments like on the target, like freaking IT people always telling me to turn my computer back off and on.
Yeah. So I like to if they're like trying to figure out who goes on what team, I will see how they're standing, and I'll purposely mix them up.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that makes sense because they kind of like they didn't just like pay to get in; they hired you.
Yeah.
To like, and so you had event experience too by that point.
Yeah.
So like it's all mixing together.
Yeah, it really is.
That's amazing.
That's really
and you'd be like, hey, it's cheaper than hiring, a licensed therapist.
Right.
You get out the same aggression.
Yeah.
Maybe the same results. I don't know.
And everyone leaves happy, right?
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's really cool.
So what has it been like transitioning? You're not part-time. You're not even the GM. You're an owner. Tell us about how that's been. Has that been more challenging? Are you here more or less often? What's it been like?
It's been strange. When I was the GM, the two managing owners actually lived in Kansas City. And so I was kind of overseeing everything happening here. And I was working, X number of hours here when we were open, when we were closed, things like that. And now I'm hiring people to be able to do basically what I was doing in-house so that I can do other things. And we're looking at a couple of options to grow the business. And so things like that.
Is this a job advertisement?
We're really excited. We've got kind of some big plans here coming up. And so I've really been focusing a lot of time on those and making those happen and things like that. So I'm really excited. I can't wait till we share.
Come on.
I know. I can't give it up. But.
Sure.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Well, it does make me think, like, do you have, I know you do, but like, what would be some of the dreams or like, long term, like what are your hopes for Axe and Ale or for this business? Like, what are you hoping for this to become?
So we don't want to be considered a franchise, but we definitely would be more than open for another location.
Sure.
But then also just the idea of like doing events. And so going out and doing things. So having some form of a mobile unit that we get to take places.
The reverse of Circle Coffee, right? This is the reverse of our last interview. They started as a mobile cart and they became a building.
Oh, yes,
now we got a building and we're becoming mobile.
I wasn't sure where you were going with
I know.
that.
I was like,
Yeah, start stationary, then go mobile. For sure.
Yeah, so just things like that. And a big goal is just to get our name out because, we've been, this July is 3 years and people still are like, I've never heard of you before.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like most people I talk to, like, oh yeah, like they may not even know the name, but they like the axe throwing place downtown.
Yeah.
It's just a toss up. Like I'll have people that come in and be like, yeah, I've been here 5 times. And then I'll have other people and this is my first time. We just heard about you.
Wow.
Okay. Come on in.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is cool. So it would be like fully enclosed? Probably.
Basically.
Or you like just
like
leave
a
the ceiling
semi-trailer.
So
you have a petting zoo behind. There's no roof. Like,
So it'll basically, the idea is to have it look similar to what our lanes look like now.
So you like build one of these on a trailer or something like that?
Yep,
Oh, that's a great idea.
That's awesome.
Man.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really
Man.
Yeah.
cool.
I'm like hesitant to ask you more because I don't want you to feel like you're giving away anything, to someone else, like, I'm going to do that first or something,
Yeah.
That would be cool. That would be very
Yeah.
cool. And that would be sweet to have at like parties and events and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, we were talking on the way over, thinking about a business like this, axe throwing, especially when you combine axe throwing with beer, you've got to see some crazy things. So are there some like just wild stories, some wild stuff you've seen that you could share with us?
To be honest, there really isn't.
Okay.
So we actually have it. We've heard it so many times. We have a shirt. It has John Brown on it. He's holding an axe in one hand and a beer in the other.
That's awesome.
We took a little bit of liberty with the picture. But it says axes and beer. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes. Yeah.
And because that is one of the most common questions that we receive. And I think the biggest thing that people don't realize is that yes, we are an axe throwing venue with the added benefit of a bar.
Sure.
People don't come here to just drink.
Sure.
They are more than welcome to come here to just drink, but people want, you drink a couple while you're throwing and that's about it.
More social drinking.
Yeah,
than
exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the other side is that my staff, we are constantly watching and we are making sure if it comes to a point where we're just like, maybe you have a glass of water first. We'll say that. We have
Take
no problem saying that. Yeah. And so
here's some bread.
yeah. We want everyone to have a fun time here, and that and so that is, we just make sure that everyone is basically behaving.
Yeah. Have you ever had anyone try to bring their own weapon into like, hey, can I use my samurai sword or something? You know, like
I have had people bring in knives, so that they want to throw
like
knives,
throwing knives or something.
Yeah, and that is in the works. On
Oh,
our
for
side.
real?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah.
Like a bring your own weapon.
Well, not no.
Choose your weapon.
We would offer the knife.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's really. I mean, we have people bring in their own axes all the time.
Really?
Yeah, we have
Wow.
a league. Every Tuesday night, I have a league, and a good majority, actually, I think all of them own their own axes now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
That's
so
amazing.
and they are so particular about them, and they'll sit there with their little
The
grinding
weight
stones.
Oh
and
wow.
it's amazing. I absolutely love it. The league
Wow.
people are just my favorite. I mean, it really is a blast. It's getting to be where I'm gonna do another session of it.
That's awesome.
Because it's just so many people.
Becomes as popular as like bowling alleys. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yes, yeah, we're
That's
just
awesome.
like bowling league.
Yeah. Shoot, what's that? What's that movie? The Dude Abides. It'd be
Big
like
Lebowski.
the new Big Lebowski remake is at an axe throwing place and not at
Uh-huh.
a bowling alley. That's awesome, man. Well, we really appreciate your time,
Yeah.
Chelsea. You're killing it. We love the business. Love your heart for Topeka. You're passionate about Topeka. I mean, we didn't really even dig into this, but you're like really invested. You are digging into with other business
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah.
Maybe talk about that for a little bit. Like, what's it been like developing that sort of support system as a business owner, investing in downtown with other people?
Yeah. So I came in, I have never worked at a bar. I have no experience with it. I have no experience throwing axes before this. So everything was new.
Just screwdrivers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, on the farm type stuff,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but it, I mean, and I managed before, but I'd never run a business. And so, I really, in the first couple of months, I leaned a lot on some amazing people here downtown. Well, not necessarily just downtown, but,
Sure.
they really helped me, just learn different things. I mean, shoot, every day I'm like, oh no, I should have been doing that.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
and they just they've really helped me. They've gone out of their way to make sure that I know what I'm doing, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal. The support that I've received in this endeavor. I mean, it really has.
That's awesome,
That's really
man.
great.
Do you have any like specific businesses that you want to shout out? You're like especially close
Heck
to,
yeah,
or
yeah.
who are like some of your greatest allies?
So the T-Box for sure. Jake
Cool.
King has been absolutely phenomenal. He has been, I mean, given me spreadsheets and help, and
Oh,
will
that's
answer
so
a phone
awesome.
call at who knows what time at night
Yeah.
when I'm like, I don't know what to do. How do I do this?
Yeah. How do you do payroll?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, one time I even called him and I was like, I have no CO2, and it's a Friday night. What do I do?
Oh, yeah.
And so he let me go and use his. Like,
Oh, that's
he is
awesome.
just, I mean, hands down phenomenal.
That's great.
And then I've actually, there are a couple of us that have kind of joined together. There's Stacy Cook over at Stumpy's, Ashley Watson with the Burger Bus, and Caitlin Halsey with Dialogue Coffee House. And the four of us have really just kind of gotten together over the last 6 or more months, and they've become some of my closest friends now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And it's just amazing getting to sit down, and we're all business owners, and some of them longer than others, and it's just like listening to stories or getting, you know, a sounding board, or just going and not talking about work at all,
Yes,
you know,
yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
And it's just been, my mind is just blown by the number of people that have just stepped up and been amazing during this transition for me.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm a firm believer. You can't do life alone. You know, you got to have
Yeah.
quality people in this with you. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing, you know, how you've really, because you came down by yourself,
Yeah.
and it's been 8 years now, which is not like a long time.
But
you
at the
know?
same time, I'm like, holy mackerel, how has it been 8 years?
Yeah, but you've it seems like very intentionally cultivated that kind of a life
Yeah.
around you with, man, I'm going to bring the right people where, you know, I'm gaining from them, they're gaining from me.
Exactly.
Like, we're benefiting,
Yeah.
we're helping each other. We're both, you know, it's not just like, you know, you and a bunch of slackers. It's like all people like really invested in making
Yeah.
the city better.
For
And,
sure.
you know, that's
Yeah.
cool that you have really cultivated that. over, you know, in your time here in Topeka.
Yeah.
Would you say that coincides kind of with like when your kind of mindset shifted on like, okay, man, there's a lot of opportunity in a place like Topeka, and maybe I'm going to dig in, put down roots, and like try to make this place a success more than just my own thing, but just, man, I want to see this place thrive.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, I grew up in a small town, and in small towns, everyone has to support everyone for you to succeed.
Right.
And I truly believe that Topeka is the same way. And it doesn't matter if there are, you know, 2 different axe throwing places in Topeka. I think that that it's a necessity to support each other, because I don't want another business to go out of business. I mean, you know, I hope that people feel the same way. But I really think that that growing up in that small town community really helps me to focus on how do I grow those relationships here. I've always said, you know, I want to keep the relationships in my life that bring me joy. And so that is one thing that I've really focused on, is just having those, but then also being that as well. And so that's, you know, in my personal life as well as my professional life. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a few rapid fire questions just to close out our time.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what's your favorite spot to go eat in Topeka?
Oh gosh. I think Iron Rail.
Iron Rail is great.
Do you have a favorite like go-to meal there?
Their mac and cheese. I love
Their
it.
mac and cheese is really good. Also, the street tacos are slept on. If you haven't had their street tacos,
I have not.
It's not a Mexican food place, but one guy told me one time, and it was amazing. I've never gone back.
My friend of ours only gets the catfish every time.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a catfish guy, but he loves it. What's do you have a favorite coffee place? Are you a coffee person?
I am, and it's most definitely Dialogue Coffee House.
Love it.
Yeah, I have I'm a Special Olympics coach, and so just the mission and goal of Dialogue is just right along with what my passion is, and so not only is that along with it, but they have great food and coffee as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Man, and that's like a huge thing you just open the door on. We don't have time to talk about, but man, that would be amazing to hear about sometime as well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So what is one thing you would add to the city of Topeka if you could, whether it be a restaurant, an experience, whatever it would be?
Oh gosh. The food one was easier.
These get progressively more challenging.
I think that I would have to say just letting people know about what there is. So, you know, and whether that's I know that there are different Facebook pages and whatnot, but for the visitors that come in, you know, how do they know what there is to do?
Yeah.
And I'm not bashing on chains or anything like that, but there's so many hidden gems in the local side of it, in the local stores, restaurants, shops, whatever. And how do we get the outside people to see those and to come to those?
That's great.
Some awareness.
It really is so true.
Yeah.
Because you even mentioned a few. I was like, I have not heard of those places. But it's like, shoot, okay, I need to get on it. Man, that's awesome. Okay, so next question. If you could put someone's picture on the target, who would you throw an axe at?
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know how to answer that one.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. Man, that's all we got. So we really appreciate your time, Chelsea.
Yeah.
You do an incredible job. We really appreciate the generosity of sitting down with us.
Yeah. Well,
Two guys you've never met in your life, and
although
we had
to
a
be
great
fair,
time.
you did have weapons you could use if you needed.
This is true.
So.
Yes, very true.
Exactly. Well, where can people find you online? Like, are you active on social media, on Instagram, on?
I mean, not more than just like me personally, or Axe and Ale? What are you?
Either, whichever you would prefer for people to know
so
about.
Axe and Ale, we definitely have our Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as, I mean, you can make reservations online, things like that. Axe and Ale, topcity.com, and that's not right. That's my email address. I was like, hold on.
Well, you have the email as well.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
axealetopeka.com is our website.
There you go.
And so
It's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Well, if you guys haven't been to check it out, come on down right next to Evergy Plaza, corner of 6th and Kansas. Just a great place to have a drink, throw an axe, get your anger out, and help support an awesome local business as well. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
For
Thank
taking
you
time.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Look Around podcast.
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And follow us on Instagram at the Look Around podcast, where followers can submit questions for future interviews.
If you'd like to connect with us further, you can send us an email at thelookaroundpodcast@gmail.com.